What's up, guys? ArtistVersion1 here, and welcome back to another edition of Stories No One Asked For, the podcast. I know I've been on a little bit of sabbatical, just haven't really been feeling the whole podcast vibe, you know what I mean? But the last episode I left you with was a great one. Justice came on. We're going to talk a little bit about Justice here tonight, because tonight it's a tale of two stories. Two entirely different stories that don't relate to each other, but it's going to be a good one, I think. But first, before we get to that, I want to give a great shout out to the people over at MovieCzarUSA.biz. God damn, I fucking love MovieCzarUSA.biz. And I'm not just saying that because they fucking hook a brother up and everything like that. I'm a fucking customer too. I fucking love MovieCzarUSA.biz. What is MovieCzarUSA.biz, you're probably asking? I tell you to stop skipping this part of the podcast. But it's a great website where you can head on over and find those hard to find TV shows and movies that have either never been released on physical media or haven't been released on physical media in quite a long time. All those streaming shows, there's so many fucking streaming services these days and everything now, man. Like, you can get those streaming TV shows, streaming movies and everything like that. Like, my next purchase, I can tell you right now, is the Peacock movie called If You Were the Last, which is probably one of the best fucking movies I've ever sat through and watched. Like, no joke. And you can head on over there and use my checkout code, that being ARTIST, ARTIST at checkout, and save 50% on your entire purchase. And if that wasn't enough for you, you're going to get free first class shipping as well. Like, I mean, all that. Plus, there's over 3,500 titles to choose from. And if you look through all 3,500 titles, and for some reason you're like, he doesn't have what I want, email him. Say, hey, I'm looking for this. He's more than happy to look for a title that you're looking for, and he'll put it on disc for you. He'll let you use my checkout code. He'll still let you get the free first class international shipping or first class US shipping. Doesn't matter which one you want. So you'll get all that. Just use that checkout code ARTIST, ARTIST at checkout, and save some today at MoviesAreUSA.biz. All right, so let's get into it. So we're going to talk about two stories here tonight because they would not be good for one episode. So we're going to just combine these two. First thing we're going to talk about what happened after Pizza Hut. Now, quick little recap of Pizza Hut here. Worked at Pizza Hut a few years. I was brutally assaulted. Not brutally, I shouldn't fucking oversell it like that. I was assaulted outside, which eventually led to my let go of Pizza Hut and everything. 3 days after Pizza, because the second I was let go from Pizza Hut, I hit the ground running, man. I was like, I started applying for shit and other places. So I applied. I saw that the trampoline park, which here is called Defy. It's called Defy Extreme Sports Park or some shit. I don't know. Or Air Sports, something. We have another one here called Sky Zone. But that was like right in Iowa City, so I was like, all right, I'll go there. So I applied thinking like, there's no way in hell they're ever going to call me. This has got to be like the young hip thing to do. They don't fucking need me, Lo and behold, next day I get a fucking email from the manager there named Ann. And she's like, "Hey, I'd like you to come in for an interview on Friday." And I was like, "Oh," and that was my birthday. I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that should work. Okay, cool." You know? And she was like, are you available weekends and such like that?" I was like, "I'm available any day you want except for Monday. That's the only day that like I can't work." And she was like, "Okay." I was like, if you can't accommodate that, then I won't waste your time." She's like, "No, we can work around that. That's cool." You know. So, I get there on Friday, and I let them know I'm there for an interview, and I'm sitting there waiting and shit, just waiting. All of a sudden, a guy comes up. What the hell, you know? And he's like, "Oh, you're here for the interview." I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Come with me," and shit. So we go into like this little room and shit. And basically, Anne wasn't there today, and that becomes like a fucking running thread. That should have been like fucking red flag number one, but I guess in hindsight, yeah, now it is. But back then, I didn't really think too much about it. So he starts the interview, and he's just typical questions. Like, what would you do if you saw somebody doing something unsafe? I was like, well, I'd probably say, he was the park manager. And I think like Ann was like the park GM, like general manager. I don't know, some shit. Um, so he was like, "What would you do if you saw somebody doing something safe?" I was like, "I'd probably say like, what was your name?" And he was like, "Oh, my name's Will." I was like, "Oh, ain't that some shit?" You know, I didn't say that, but I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Hey guys, we probably shouldn't be doing that because Will said we shouldn't be doing it." You know, something like that. And he was like, "Oh, okay," you know. And he was like, "What's your availability?" I was like, Monday through Friday, I'm available till 5:30. Uh, but weekends I'm open." And he was like, "Okay," you know, wrote that down. And he was like, "Okay, well, I mean, if it were up to me, I like what I hear, but I'll pass this off to Ann, and we'll be in touch." I said, "Okay, cool." So I left, went and did my birthday stuff. Email the next day from Ann. "Hey, we'd like to have you aboard." Oh shit, really? Okay, you know. So I think that Tuesday. Yeah, it was a Tuesday because it was slow. That Tuesday I come in and oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Tuesday because Wednesday. Yeah, okay. Tuesday I come in and Ann's finally there, and like you know, for like a trampoline park, I expected like a fucking young little fucking fit thing to be running this place. No, I was way wrong. They get like fucking cookbook bitches to fucking run a trampoline park because you know whatever. Now the people who actually work there are like you know young fit little pieces there. So anyway, so we're filling out my paperwork and all that good shit, and I actually told you know what I lied. I actually told them my availability was till 6. And she was like, "Why 6?" And I was like, "Because I got to pick up my sister from her job," which was true, and then go home. And she was like, "Hmm." And she kind of looked at me for a minute, and she was like, "You know what? I'm gonna make your availability 5:30." I was like, "Okay, yeah, that works. That works for me. That gives me time to get out of here and stuff." She was like, "Yeah." So she was very accommodating at first. You know, like you know, I didn't see the fucking devil horns and shit that were about to fucking pop up. You know, but I could tell that she was like a fucking like business. You know, like fucking I want shit done my way and everything. But she seemed very accommodating too, as long as you just told her. You know, don't spring it on her 15 minutes before you have to show up. Like, oh, I can only work till 3 o'clock. You know, shit like that. Um, so then the next day, I come in and there's no Ann, but it's like all the people who are working that morning, and like we're about to open, and like you know I'm new, so like I'm just kind of sitting there, just chilling, kind of like getting the lay of the land, you know. And like one of the guys there ordered Uber Eats, and whenever he orders from Uber Eats, he puts a fucking hair in his food and takes a picture of it and sends it to Uber Eats so they refund his order, you know. So he's in the process of doing that while I'm sitting there, you know, while we're all sitting there and shit. Finally, fucking, you know, we're open. A kid comes in with his, you know, dad, whatever, and they're the only people in the park, you know. So they're all like everybody in that little fucking office room was sitting there like, oh, I don't want to go up and watch them and all this stuff because you know the job is essentially a fucking lifeguard without water. You're just making sure these kids don't kill each other, you know, kill themselves on like the attractions, and you know, making sure they're following the rules and everything like that. So they're all like, "Oh, I don't want to go. I don't know." I finally just said, "You know what? If you give me a shirt, because they're all wearing like the uniform shirt, and I didn't have one. I was like, if you give me a shirt, I'll go up there and do it for you if y'all don't want to do it." And they're like, "Oh, dude, that'd be great and everything." That was a huge mistake in a minute, and I'll tell you why. So they give me a shirt. I go up there. Um, and the one girl actually had to show me how to do something. One girl, Michaela, I fucking loved Michaela. The whole time I worked there, she was like the one person I didn't fucking hate. You know, um, and another person too. But yeah, she was cool. Um, so she shows me some. Then you know, basically, I just watched this family, you know, go from the attraction, making sure everything's good, music's playing and shit. It was a good gig. So more people start to come in. Now this is my first day, and I'm just like, you know, making sure everything's good. You know, like I know somewhat of the rules. You know, turns out they weren't supposed to put me on the floor, as they call it, the floor. They weren't supposed to put me on the floor until a member of management walked me through all of the attractions to say, hey, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, blah, 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 all this stuff. They just threw me up there and said, fucking have fun. You know, I did that for fucking 3 days before they finally said, like, oh, nobody from management showing you everything. I was like, no. So they finally fucking did that. But on the first, going back to the first day, so more families are coming in and shit. And again, my first day, so like I'm fucking chilling. All of a sudden, this girl shows up. I forgot her name. It was something unique, like Faith or some shit, or Harmony, or what the fuck was it? Anyway, she shows up and she's like real quiet and shit. So she wasn't really like, oh great, a new person, nice to meet you and shit. She just got up on the floor and just went to her position and kind of chilled there. So I was like, all right, whatever. Venus, was that her name? No, that wasn't it. No. Fuck, that's bothering me now. Anyway, so then a third person shows up. His name was Matt. That I remember. And the second Matt got there, he is just talking to this girl nonstop. Like fucking nonstop. They're going off in like private little corners of the park and talking and shit like that. Meanwhile, like there's like fucking 20 people here now. 20, 30, 40 people. And I'm watching them all myself. You know, there's fucking kids breaking their ankles and shit like that. And like fucking, they're nowhere to be seen though. No one really broke their ankle. I was there one time when somebody broke their arm. Um, but you know, I'm just like, what the fuck? Finally, at the end of my shift, he comes apologizes to me. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I kind of left you hanging there, and everything." And I was just like, "Yeah, okay, you know, whatever." You know. So that was the first. That was just the fucking first day. So that should have been red flagged all fucking over. I mean, being left alone by people who were supposed to be training me. You know, all that shit. So that right there, but like as time went on, the gig was actually not bad. Like again, this is one of those jobs that like the gig itself wasn't bad. You know, just some of the people I had to fucking work with, and like some of the fucking rules around there were just fucking insane, and like they would change constantly. And when I say constantly, I mean like on a daily fucking basis. You know, um, so like one, oh god, like what was it? So the gig itself, let me start there. The gig itself was basically just walking around. Like I said, you're a lifeguard without water. You know, you're walking around making sure, like, hey, don't hang on the rim of the basketball. You know, like, you know, and then you have to repeat it to these kids sometimes. You know, like we have like a slam dunk. You bounce off the trampoline, slam dunk the ball and shit. They'd want to hang on the rim, so we'd have to walk by, like, don't hang on the rim, please. You know, and I'd walk by, you know, because like there's other attractions. So like I'd walk by again and they'd be hanging on the rim. So I'm like, don't hang on the rim, please. And I'd walk by again. You know, so then as I'm walking by a third time, if they're doing it again, I was like, do not make me walk by and say it again. You know, like that's the kind of shit I'd have to do. Or like we had a ninja course race one time, and there was like a girl sitting on top of the monkey bars, and I just walked over there and I just looked at her, and she just looked at me. I was like, I want you to tell me what's wrong with this without me having to say it. And she was like, I'm sitting on top of the monkey bars. You're sitting on top of the monkey bars. Do I need to get down? Get down. You know? So it was shit like that, you know, like what you had to do. You know, and they'd play music and everything. And every now and then we'd get the kids like involved. Like we'd play, not we, they would play the same 5 fucking dance songs on a loop to drive me fucking insane. It would be YMCA, the Cha Cha Slide. Um, oh my god, what were the other ones? I know those two for sure because those two are burned in my fucking skull. Because if I had to hear those 2 songs one more time, I was gonna burn the fucking place down myself. You know, so we would do stuff to get kids involved every now and then, but it wasn't all the time. You know, but the rule changes. So okay, so yeah, the rule changes were fucking insane, man. Because like we had a zip line, you know, where you could, you know, fly in the fucking foam and shit. Well, you have to climb a ladder to get to the platform of the fucking zip line. Okay, fine, whatever. But the zip line was held up so high, so little kids couldn't fucking get up there. You had to be a certain height to grab the zip line and shit. Um, so I was told when I was hired, they were just like, if they're not tall enough to get to it, they're not tall enough to ride it. You know, somebody can help them, but we personally are not allowed to help them because, we can't be touching other people's kids, you know? And if somebody does help them, it has to be somebody that knows that kid. Like, it has to be a parent, a guardian, a sister, a brother, something like that. It cannot be like some rando in the park or anything like that for the same reasons that we can't touch them. So one day I come in and there's a fucking like footstool that we had for parents. There's a fucking footstool up there. And I'm like, what is that? And they're like, oh, that's for the kids so they can get up there. I'm like, are we allowed to do that? I thought corporate said we're not allowed to do that. They're like, oh no, it's okay. I said, okay, so we went through the whole day, letting kids do this. Next day I show up and they're putting the stool up there, and all of a sudden we had earpieces and intercoms and shit. So we hear through our earpiece, oh, we can't put the stool up there. We're like, why? They're like, corporate said no. I'm like, corporate just said yesterday we can. They're like, yeah, but now they're saying no. And we're like, what the fuck? It would literally, like, a day, not even a full day, would go by, and they would literally change rules and shit on you. I'm trying to think of another one that just, oh man, that's the main one that sticks out. But I swear, there was times where, like, I'm like, okay, cool, got it. And then the next day I come in, they're like, okay, it's changed. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I can't fucking remember all these if you keep changing them every day. The one fucking joy that, like, I did get out of that fucking place, like, the one thing I really enjoyed doing more than anything, except one time, was refereeing dodgeball games. We had like a dodgeball court, and I would stand, on the side, obviously, and like, fucking everybody would get ready, and I'm like, all right, ready, and fucking blow the whistle and shit. I'd be commentating and shit, coming up with the symbols, all that shit, man. That was like the one fucking joy I had. Except one time where this kid was like, he was getting all pissy because I wasn't calling anything. I was like, I'm not calling anything because nothing's happening, you dumb shit. That's what I wanted to say. Can't talk to the kids the way you want to talk to them. Um, but and then there was another time where, like, I was in there and there wasn't. Technically, you're only supposed to referee dodgeball games if there's a lot of kids in there, but I think this time there was, like, I don't know, 6. And they're like, "Well, there's not a lot of people in there. We need you to walk around." All right, fine, whatever. Um, so that was like one of the few joys I had in that place. That and the music they play. Every now and then, I'd get my hands on the computer and add some tracks to the list when they weren't fucking looking. Like, I'd add like some Dirty Vegas and Eiffel 65 and maybe a couple other little tunes every now and then. And I did discover some great songs from that place, like The Hype by 21 Pilots. Great fucking song. Lasting Lover by Singla. Great fucking song. So the job did have its perks. Um, there was, oh yeah, so one day they're gonna, like, I keep telling them, like, hey, I want to learn how to work up front. Like, I don't want to always work the fucking floor, I want to sell tickets and all this stuff too. So one day they're gonna fucking show me. I was like, cool, awesome. So our uniform was the uniform shirt and just black athletic pants or shorts. That's all it was. So I chose to wear shorts all the time. They were comfortable. I was gonna be walking around all day, so I figured why not wear shorts. So now I'm like fucking 2 weeks into this job, maybe 3, and I'm down at the ticket station, and it's me and 2 other people, and so all of a sudden, this guy, I forgot, Mikhail or Micaiah, something like that. It was something bizarre like that. He's a fit guy. You know, me, I'm not so fucking fit. You know, but he looks at me and he says, "Will, do you work out?" And I just looked at him, and I'm like, "Dude, do I look like somebody who works out?" And he's like, "Well, looking at the size of your calves, yes." And then, like, the girl that was with him, her name was Chris. Chris says, yes. When I saw those calves, I was like, holy shit. So I was just like, hey, that's why they call me Calvzilla, you know what I'm saying? So, and then the one day that I actually did learn how to sell tickets and everything was the only day I ever fucking did it. Because, like, after that, they never let me up there again. Not because I did anything wrong or anything. It's just that, like, they're all right, well, this is how we do it. And they showed me how to do it. I'm taking notes and everything like that. And then after that, they never fucking let me up there again. You know? Oh, yeah. So, so another, like, funny incident, I guess. There was this one girl there. Her name was Callie. And Callie was, I'll say she was attractive. She had really nice hair. I'll give her that. So we did this thing after the park. Every now and then we do these like special things like after the park closed and shit. Like we'd have like a team meeting and then like maybe we'll go out to eat. I was there for two of them. Well, this one we had our store meeting and then we figured we'd jump on the trams. That was gonna be our thing. So, fucking not Bleeding Love by Leona Lewis, but what's the other fucking song she did? She has another song, but it came on. And like Callie was just like, who sings this? I was just like, fucking Leona Lewis, man. She was like, oh, that's right, Leona Lewis. Yeah, that's right. So later on, we're all in the fucking dodgeball fucking court. And a song comes on that isn't Leona Lewis. And she's like, who sings this? And I pause and I listen for a second. And we just look at each other and we both say it at the same time, like Leona Lewis. Like it was the funniest fucking thing. So I thought it would be funny. I bought the fucking Leona Lewis CD from Amazon. It was like fucking $3 with shipping. I bought the Leona Lewis fucking CD, right? So when it delivered, I brought it to work and I was like, Callie, check this out. And I give her the Amazon package and she opens it and looks at it and she was like, what? And I was just like, now all the songs are Leona Lewis. And she didn't find that as funny as I did. She thought it was weird that I bought it from Amazon and brought it to work and all this shit. Whatever. We had like a long fucking conversation about it. And I was just like, listen, it was just a fucking joke. Like if you don't appreciate my brand of humor, okay, I'm sorry. But like, damn, I thought it was funny. You know? And she was like, I heard you say that I was hot. And I was like, I don't think I used that terminology. She was like, the terminology doesn't matter. I was just like, okay. She was like, I'm not really fucking into dating people from work. I was like, all right. Like, fuck. Like, damn, it was just a CD. It was a joke. But whatever. Another fucking incident that happened. So, we have a clock-in clock like most jobs do. You go to your clock, you clock in. When you clock out, you clock out. It's not that hard. Well, our clock-in clock wasn't working. So they said, here, everybody sign this paper. That'll be the clock in. So we all said, okay. So we're all doing the clock in paper and shit like that. We're doing that for like fucking a week and a half. Maybe 2 weeks. So after that 2 weeks, I noticed the clock is working. But nobody said to stop using the fucking paper. So I'm still using the paper. We're about 3 days in to this 2 week period using the paper. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should make sure we should still be using this paper to clock in. So I go up to the counter and I see Ann, the GM, and she's with a customer. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to fucking wait for her to be done and I'll ask her then. So I'm kind of just chilling off to the side. She's with the customer trying to sell a membership and all this good shit. I'm waiting. She gets done and she finally looks over to me and she was like, and what can I help you with? I was like, hey, I just wanted to know, do we still use the paper to clock in or do we clock in with the computer? She fucking lost it. She was like, of course we use a computer to clock in. Why would you ask me that? I'm with a guest right now. I'm like, I just looked at her. I'm just like, okay. Because like I was about to fucking leave right there, So I was like, okay, thanks. And I walked away and I went and clocked in. Come to find out, see, I thought everything was fine. Usually when I get my paycheck, I just start paying my fucking bills because I assume that the money's in there. So I start paying my fucking bills and everything. And I was like, for some reason, something said check your bank account. So I checked my bank account and my paycheck was only fucking $176. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait a fucking minute. I worked way more than $176 worth, you know? So I message her. I say, hey, I don't know what's wrong, but I only got paid $176 and I worked way more than that. And she said, okay, I'll take a look at it. I said, okay. Now, when I say, hey, my pay's fucked up, and whether this is like any job, if I go to you and say, hey, my pay's fucked up, and you say, I'm going to look into it, I expect you to look at it either right then and there or the next day and get the problem fixed. This problem did not get fucking fixed until the next fucking pay period. You know? Because, like, at first I was just like, hey, don't forget about that fucking pay thing, you know? Like, nothing would get done. You know? Finally, one day she's seeing people in her office and shit like that. And I finally come down and I was just like, hey, listen, I really need this paycheck debacle solved. I have shit to pay and da da da. Oh, I am, Will. It's just that, you know, we're doing this and we're doing that. And doing that. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it, Will. Okay. Nothing's been done. I finally contact our fucking payroll department thinking like, yeah, that'll put some fucking fire in this. You know what happened? You know what happened? I contact payroll and say, hey, you know, I was only paid this much, but I worked this many hours. What's going on? Payroll emails me back and says, that is weird. Here, we've copied Ann into the conversation. Maybe she can figure it out. I was like, oh, fuck. Ann was fucking livid. I mean, I had to fucking backpedal so much as to why I fucking contacted payroll. It wasn't even fucking funny. You know? She was like, how dare you contact payroll? Why do you think I'm not taking care of you and everything? Like, I'm gonna take care of you. It just takes time. It shouldn't take 2 fucking weeks, but whatever. I'm gonna take care of you. I was like, sorry, my bad. You know, like, you know, I said, you know, that's paraphrasing, but I actually said a lot more shit. You know? 2 weeks later is when the fucking thing was finally resolved. But it shouldn't have took 2 fucking weeks. So what I didn't know would be my last night there. I was closing, which I usually close on the weekends, which are actually kind of fun. I used to like closing on the weekends, because fucking that's when I really got to like throw in some tracks and everything. I'd go down to the computer and throw in some fucking tracks on the mix and everything like that. And plus, like, we turned off the lights at like a certain time, and it was like really fucking relaxing and shit. Plus, while we did our nightly closing thing, like vacuum floors and fucking wiped off this and that, you know, that was fucking relaxing. So anyway, last night there. Now we have to clean the floor, you know, the whatever. So also the money has to be counted in the drawer and everything, you know. So um, so we're done with the fucking floor. You know, everything's done up there. We're waiting for the drawer to be counted so we can all clock out and go. You know. So as a joke, you know, they come out and they're like, "Man, the drawer is messed up." And da 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 da. As a joke, I was just like, "Come on, man! Like, what's taking so long? Just count, man. 1, 2, 3. You know, fucking the other guy would have already had us out of here by now." I was just fucking rizzing him or razzing him would fucking be a better word. I was just razzing him, you know, thinking they'd be like, "Oh, shut up, Will," you know. Fucking the one girl was just like, "You know what? Then just go then." I was like, "Fuck, calm the fuck down, dude. Bring it down a fucking notch." You know, like shit. So I waited around. We all clock out and leave. Now, I should mention that the day before that was kind of a rough day because they had this kid named fucking Byron. And again, on the outside, Byron seemed kind of cool. You know, he seemed somebody that fucking likes, you know, Miller Lite and fucking Xanax. You know, seemed like an okay guy. But he was one of those people that just like, I'm in charge and there's nothing you can do about it. you know. Um, like there's there's the GM, which is Ann. There was the park manager, which was Will. Then there was like, shift leads essentially. And that's what he was. But he was one of them fuckers that was just like, I'm shift lead. I run this motherfucker and shit. That was his fucking attitude towards shit. Now, one of the big, 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 big fucking rules of this place was no fucking cell phones for employees on the fucking floor at all. Like, if you get caught with a fucking cell phone, you might as well just fucking leave. Because, like, that's fucking no. So, Will, the park manager, said, listen, with the cell phone thing, listen, I don't care if it's with your stuff or in the office, as long as it is not on you on that floor, I don't care where it is. Now, technically, we were supposed to leave them in the office, you know? But I brought a bag with me and everything. So every day I'd fucking come in, I'd put my bag in the fucking break room or whatever, and I'd put my phone in the bag and fucking I'd head up to the floor and shit. One day I went on break and I had my phone put in my pocket, went up to the floor, you know? And a few minutes later I was like, oh fuck, my phone's in my pocket. Let me go fucking return that. So also in the meantime, Byron was pissing everybody off. And he eventually just told everybody, anybody who wants to come talk to me can come talk to me in the office. So, like, people are fucking, there was like a line, like 3 people lining up to see his ass. Me, I could have went and talked to him, but fuck him. I don't even give a shit. So I'm walking down there, and he opens the office door and the break room door right next to each other. So I open the break room door. He opens the office door and looks at me. I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, I thought you were coming to talk to me. I was like, no. Like, so I walk into the fucking break room. I take the phone out of my pocket, put it in the bag, walk away. So I'm walking back up to the floor, and he's just like, Will, is that your phone? I was like, yeah. So I walk up to the floor. He's like, well, it has to be in the office. I was like, okay. And I just walked away because, like, fuck, it's in the bag, whatever. He's like, Will, it has to be in the. And I finally just looked and I was like, Will said it can be in our bag as long as it's not on us. And I walked away. And he was like, yeah, but Will, it has to be in the office. I was like, oh my God. So I went to the fucking break room, got the phone out of the bag, put it in the office. And he was just like, well, Will, I don't know why you're getting upset. I was just like, because you're not listening. The guy above you said, as long as it's not on us, he doesn't care where it is. And you're not listening. He was like, yeah, but Will, it has to be. And I was like, whatever, Byron, whatever. And I walked away. I was fucking done listening. Because by that point, he's already fucking irritating me. I don't know how many fucking times. He was like one of them fucking people that was just like, look at this motherfucker over here, breathing in shit. Like he owns this place. Fuck him, So like, this was like my fucking breaking point with him. Like I'm on the floor like fucking losing my shit. Like to the point where like the fucking one girl, what was her name? Katie. Katie had to fucking hold me back at one point. So the next night comes and we have that incident and everything. I get my, I was supposed to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I was off Monday. I was trying to get out of Tuesday. So I messaged one of the girls there. Her name was Sophie. I was like, hey, Sophie, do you mind fucking covering for me? We had like a fucking system. You log in, you can fucking, message your coworkers, message your boss. Hey, I'm going to be late. Hey, fucking, can I have this day off? All that shit, right? So I logged in on Sunday to say, hey, Sophie, can you fucking work for me Tuesday? Fucking whatever. So Monday, I go to log in and I can't log in. I was just like, huh, that's weird. Because I wanted to see if Sophie replied to see if she would have worked for me. And I can't log in. So I finally email Ann because I can't get into the system to message Ann. I email Ann and I say, hey, the fucking, I didn't say fuck, but I was like, hey, the app is messing up. Like, is the thing not working? And she emails me back and says, yeah, it's not working at the moment. By the way, we're overstaffed for Tuesday, so you go ahead and stay home. I said, oh, okay, cool, because I was actually trying to see if Sophie, was going to cover for me. So that actually works out. So, I'm off Tuesday now. So Wednesday comes. And again, I haven't had the fucking, the app. So I finally messaged Ann. I was like, I assume we're just using the same schedule, given how the app is not working. And she doesn't respond back. So I go to work that morning. I walk in, there's Michaela there, which I fucking love Michaela. Like, side story. We had a lot of kids' birthday parties at the fucking park and shit. And one day I look over from the floor and I see Michaela eating a fucking slice of pizza from the kids' birthday party. They done left and shit. And I get on the intercom and I was like, are you eating a pizza from the birthday party? And she does, yep. And I was like, you don't know what's on that. Someone could have breathed on that, licked it, you know, touched it. You don't fucking know, Michaela. And she holds up a 0 from a distance. She was like, you see that? That's how much I care. I was like, okay. I was like, I fucking love you, Michaela. So anyway, Michaela's there. The girl that fucking yelled at me Sunday was there. Like, just go then. That girl, she's there. And I walk in, and we had to wait for fucking somebody to open the office door so we could go in and get our intercom and shit. So I'm standing there. All of a sudden, Michaela fucking just kind of drifts off to the left. And she's using the store cell phone. And at the time, I didn't put it together. Now I do. But at the time, I didn't put it together. So after she gets done with the store cell phone, she walks over and she was just like, hey, Will, do you have Ann's number? I was like, I don't. And she was like, okay, here it is. She was like, Ann needs you to call her before you get started. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I go outside. I call her. She doesn't answer. And I'm like, okay. So I wait a minute, and I call her again, and she answered, and she says, hello. I was like, oh, hey, you wanted to talk to me? And she was just like, yeah, your services at the park will no longer be needed. Now, let's pause right there. Just before that, I think it couldn't have been that Saturday. So 2 Saturdays before that, we just had a store meeting about how we're trying to hire 16 people. That's how many people we're trying to hire. 16. So this came out of fucking nowhere for me. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So my first question is, what is there cutbacks? And she says yes. And I'm like, that's weird because we just had a meeting saying that we need 16 fucking people. So I said, okay, thanks. And she hung up. I went back inside. I always wear 2 shirts, so I took off the uniform shirt. And they opened the office door for me because you have to turn in your shirts. So they opened, and I was just like, well, that was Ann. She said, due to budget cuts, I no longer work here. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, yep, so I guess I'll see y'all around. And they're like, okay, bye. So here's the part of the story I left out. Oh, no, you know what? I'll get to that. So now I'm on fucking YouTube, just like, this bullshit happened, this, and this, and this, and this. Come to find out, that Saturday, when I fucking, put your phone back in the office, all that bullshit, I was on Snapchat that night. And, I was just kind of blowing off steam. So I was just kind of just ranting about Byron, but not directly. You know what I mean? Callie, I forgot. I was friends with on Snapchat. Callie screen recorded that entire rant that I did and showed Ann. So they took that as like a formal threat against Byron. Come to find out, that's why they let me go. But they couldn't just tell me that. So I'm on YouTube fucking weeks later. I've already got the job at Firehouse and shit. Which, fun fact, she tried to call Firehouse and get me out of that job. How she fucking knew I was working at Firehouse, I'll never fucking know. Because I didn't tell her. So, anyway. Where was I going? So, yeah, okay, yeah. So, I'm working at Firehouse. I'm fucking live one night on YouTube, and like I'm just kind of like fucking, because this is before I found out about the recording. So I'm just like, yeah, she said it was budget cuts, but I'm pretty sure she's fucking lying to me and shit like that, man. We're gonna defy the lies, because that's the name of the place, Defy. So defy the lies. I thought it was fucking genius. So I was like, everybody in the chat right now, go to their Facebook page. Here's their Facebook page, and type in the comments, defy the lies and shit. Just fucking. I knew nobody was gonna do it except somebody did. Um, Fucking they go there and type in Defy the Lies, and he gets a message from Anne. Not like the fucking Facebook page for Defy. No, gets a message from Anne herself. And it fucking says, like, do you know the person you're supporting is a pedophile? Like, what the fuck? Where the fuck did that come from? You know? And it said, like, do you know he's been banned from the last 2 jobs he's worked at? I'm just like, okay. I am banned from Hy-Vee. I don't ever remember being banned from Pizza Hut. So I don't know where she's getting that information from. And then she unsends the messages to him, but I fucking already had them. So I was like, this fucking. I didn't find out about her calling fucking Firehouse until 3 months in. September, October, November. Yeah, 3 months in is when I found that she called Firehouse to be like, oh yeah, that guy's nuts and shit like that. Even the people at fucking Firehouse were just like, yeah, we thought she was a nut job, Will. So, long story short, too late. If you ever get the chance to work for Defy Air Park or Air Sports Park, don't. It's a lot of fucking headaches. All right, with the bad story out of the way, let's talk about the good story. This is a fun story here. About my first time, and so far I think only. Did I go to another one? Yeah. So far only experience going to a strip club. This is a fun one. You're going to like this one. So, I'm in town visiting the kid. And, the kid goes to bed at like, 7, 8 o'clock, depends on the day. So, like, the rest of the night, is wide open for me. I usually chill out or something like that or go see a friend, whoever. Well, Justice happened to be in town. He just graduated college that night. So, he's like, oh man, let's meet at Applebee's and shit. I was like, right on. We went to Applebee's and I just ate. I forgot where I ate, but I just ate. Just like, I just ate too. I figured you were hungry. I was like, no, man, I can get some dessert though. He was like, yeah, I can get some dessert. So we fucking ordered dessert, and while we're waiting to order, he was like, so what do you want to do tonight? I was like, I don't know, man. What are you thinking, man? And then the fucking first thing out of my mouth was like, fucking jelly beans. He's like, I'm not going to fucking jelly beans. Like that's always my fucking excuse. Jelly beans. Which, fun fact, place closed down. Sucks. A lot of memories there. So we're just kind of bullshitting. And at the time, he was seeing like this older woman, and she was a little fucking frisky, you know. So I was, as a fucking joke, joke half serious, it was like, hey, why don't you call your friend, man? You two put on a sex show, And there was like a pause, and he was like, for real? And I was just like, yeah. like, are you really considering this? Not that I wanted to see Justice fuck or anything, but like, just to say you saw like a live sex show. You know what I mean? He's like, he pulls out his phone, kind of like hesitating for a second. He's like, well, I could ask her. I was like, fuck, ask her. Fuck, I'll watch this. Like, fucking, how cool would that be? Just say, I saw like live fucking. I mean, yeah, we can go on the internet and see two people fucking anytime we want, but when have you ever fucking rolled up somewhere and just said, like, hey, I'm just going to watch these two people fuck? Like, fucking, how cool would that be, So, he's texting her and shit like that, and, we get her dessert and everything, and fucking, long story short. Basically, it was just, oh, she's not in the mood for putting on a show. I was just like, right on, that's cool. So finally, we're about to leave, and he's just like, why don't we go to a strip club? I was like, fuck, I've never been. And he was like, you haven't? I was like, no, dude. He was like, all right, we're going to go to a strip club. We'll figure out which one. So we get in the car, and he's like, all right, we'll go to this one. I was like, fucking, you pick it, man. You know him better than I do, dude. You know? So he picks the place, and as we're in the car going, he's like, can you do me a favor? I was like, what's up? He's like, can you call them and see if they have a cover charge? I was just like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I pick up the phone, and I call him, and I was just like, I can't just do it normal. You know? So I have this character right here called Pinky Lamar, baby. He talks like this, and yeah, he thinks he's real smooth and everything. So I call him and they answer, and I forgot the name of the fucking place, but they were just like, oh yes, and I was just like, hey, I was like, what's going on, baby? This is your boy Pinky Lamar, and listen, Pinky gonna be coming up in there with a lot of people. We're gonna be spending a lot of money, but listen, Pinky, I know one thing. Do you have a cover charge? And you can tell she's kind of like half laughing, but doesn't know if this is for real or not. So she's just like, yeah, there's a $13 cover charge. I was like, $13 cover charge. Pinky can handle that, man. Okay, we're gonna be there later. We're gonna pull up with a limo. We're gonna have some ladies and everything for you. Thank you very much. Click, hang up. And Justice just kind of pauses for a second. He's like, did you really have to do that? And I looked at him and I was like, I really did. You know? So we so we fucking get there, and he was like, "Did you?" He was like, "Was that the member only price?" I was like, "I don't know. Fuck, did you hear me ask?" So we get there and we're waiting in line, and all of a sudden, fucking comes up, and it's just like the price was like fucking, what was it, like, I think it was like $18, something like that. And he was like, "I thought it was 13." She was like, "That's member's price," and he covered my cover, so I'll give him that. So we head in, and it's like fucking it did look like one of the strip clubs in a movie. It wasn't like one of those like dank ass fucking strip clubs either, man. It had like all the fucking fancy lights and shit. Walk in, there's a girl on stage dancing and shit. You know. Now on the way there, Justice is just fucking cackling and shit. He's like, I can't believe we're going and shit. Fucking. I was like, hey man, this is gonna be fun. He was like, dude, you're gonna spend so much money. I was just like, no, I'm not, dude. I still got fucking 4 days with the kid here. He's like, oh, dude, you're gonna spend so much money, man. Like, I was like, dude, I'm going there. I'm gonna tip a few dancers, have a couple drinks, and call it a night. And then he pauses and he's just like, drinks are like $12 there. And I was like, I'm gonna tip a few dancers and call it a night, man. He was like, okay, So we get there, and uh, we find a table, we sit down, and like at this club, man, you can just walk to like the stairs where the dancers walk up, and what they do is they come down the stairs, they give you like a little fucking dance, put the titties in your face and everything, and you slap a fucking dollar in their thong, and fucking move on and shit. So like I fucking do that a couple times with some of the dancers shit. Now also, if you don't know this, the dancers who aren't on stage will go like person to fucking person and fucking, solicit lap dances. Like, hey, why don't you come for a private dance and shit. Um now now let me stress this. Justice graduated college that day. So this motherfucker's all dressed to the nines and shit. And not like the way I put it in the podcast where he's wearing like the fucking corn jersey. No, motherfucker's wearing a hat, matching hat, suit, fucking pants and shit like that. So when all the strippers come over soliciting a dance and shit, they're all over Justice. They're not even fucking looking at my fucking broke ass, you know? They're sitting on the arm of the chair with Justice, like, hey, how you doing tonight? What's going on? Da-da-da-da. No, you don't want to dance? Okay. And then they just leave. They don't even fucking look at my ass, man. And I'm just like, well, fuck. Justice was like, what? I was like, fuck, they just keep coming over to you. He was like, it's the suit. Yeah, I know it's a fucking suit, but still, you know? So I apparently had to go to the bathroom. I had to go take a piss. So I go take a piss. I come back. There's 4 goddamn dancers surrounding Justice. I'm like, what the fuck? And on top of all that, Justice fucking opening line all night to every stripper. Every fucking stripper. Hey, it's my friend's first time at a strip club. I'm just like, can you stop fucking opening with that? Like, fuck. The first time was okay. But like, fuck, every fucking time a dancer comes over, how you doing tonight? Hey, it's my friend's first time here. And they're like, whatever. Like, that line did not work in trying to get any of these strippers over to me. You know, when I'll give him credit. When he tried it to get them over to me, it didn't fucking work. So anyway, I go to the bathroom, come back, 4 dancers around them. I sit down, and the first girl who was on stage when we walked in fucking knew I walked in when she was on because she fucking sat down, and I swear to God, she was just like, "Oh, I heard it's your first time in a strip club." And I was like, "Fucking justice," you know. I was like, "Yeah, it was." She was like, "Well, I'm happy to know that I was your first dancer you saw live." And I'm like, "How the fuck did she know?" Because I knew it, you know. But how did she fucking know that? You know. I was just like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And shit. She was the only one that talked to me. She didn't try to solicit a dance from me, but she's the only one that talked to me. You know. So I had these 4 dancers. Justice was like actually thinking about spending money on one. He even told me, he was like, "We need to get out of here before I spend money on that girl." You know. So Justice doesn't buy any dance from the girl. Finally, this one girl comes up. Her name was Sasha, and the only reason I remember it because it's written on the fucking card. But she comes up and she was like, "Hey, would you guys like some free passes?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do." Justice was like, "You don't even know if you're coming back." I was like, "Fuck it, give me the pass." You know. She was like, "I actually had him written out for somebody else, but it doesn't seem like he's here now." I was like, "Fuck yeah, give me a free pass." She was like, "Here you go." And she hands one to Justice, and Justice, fucking, lo and behold, "Hey, it's my friend's first time in a strip club." I'm like, "I swear to God, dude. Like, can you fucking open with something else?" You know? And the girl looks at me, and she was like, "Oh, it's your first time in a strip club?" I was like, "Yeah." And she holds her hand out to me, as in, like, "Hey, take my hand." She holds her hand out to me, and she was like, "Well, it's your first time here. You gotta get a lap dance." And it was the first time ever in my life that the fucking acronym YOLO went through my head. It was the only time ever that fucking acronym went through my head because I was just like, you know what, fuck it, YOLO, man. Let's do it, man. And at the time, they had like a deal going on where like you get now the way the lap dances work. I don't know if it's like this everywhere. I am not a lap dance aficionado, but uh, you pay for your dance and they fucking wait for a song to start, and then that fucking song is your fucking time limit. You know, so the deal was 2 songs for $40. So I was like, fucking A, man, 2 songs for 40. I'm in. Let's go. You know. So we go back to the fucking, as they like to call the champagne room. Walk in. There's like a door guy there and shit, but he wasn't like in the ones in the movie. There was like a big muscular black guy. It was like some old maitre d looking motherfucker. You know. So we go to like the little private booth and shit, and she starts undressing and shit. I sit on like the couch and everything. She takes everything off except for her thong. Wasn't a full nude bar. So she fucking starts dancing and shit, rubbing on me and everything. Obviously, I'm getting turned on. Like at one point, she grabs my dick, and she's like, "Nice dick." I was like, "Listen, that's not gonna get you anywhere because I know for damn sure it's not nice. Mediocre at best, you know." Um, But like she's doing her thing and everything. Fucking, I used to hate the song "Rude Boy" by Rihanna, but I have a new appreciation for it now. I couldn't even remember what the other song was. I don't even know. It's probably something I don't even know. But I know the other song was "Rude Boy" by Rihanna. Because I used to hate that fucking song, but now I have a new appreciation for it. You know. So like she then at one point I was like, "Can I touch?" And she was like, "For an extra $10." And I was like, "Oh, you can keep that." You know. So like halfway through like the second song, she takes my hands and she puts them on her fucking tits. But like I'm not moving. I'm like a fucking dead fish, because I don't want her to be like, you squeezed $10, So then she moves them and she puts them on her ass, which she had a nice ass. I'll give her that. She did have okay titties too, but whatever, But again, I'm not moving anything. I don't want her to be like fucking $10, But I thought she had me anyway because she was gonna be like, you put your hands on my ass, that's $10, So we get done and shit like that, and she was like, okay, 40. I was like, oh, do I pay you? Do I pay the guy at the door? She was like, you pay me. I was like, oh, okay, and like I did ask. I was like, listen, I'm pretty sure the answer is no, but is it possible to get a picture with you? She was like, no, we can't take pictures back here. I was like, okay, cool. Because, I mean, fuck, to have a picture with the stripper that gave you a fucking lap dance? Come on, that'd be dope. you know. So I head out and Justice is fucking cackling again. I knew it. I knew you were gonna fucking do it. You know. So I was like, "What about you? You gonna get one?" He was just like, "I don't know, man. I'm thinking about that one girl there." You know. So we hung out for a little bit more. Fucking got in the car and left. As we're leaving, he just like, "I knew it. I knew you were gonna fucking do it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it." Just like the whole fucking time back to my hotel and shit. You know, just like he was like, "I knew you were gonna fucking do it. I knew you were gonna end up with a dance and everything, man." You know. So um yeah, so yeah, that was the first time ever been to a strip club. You know. So good times. Good time. Me and Justice had some good times and shit. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode of Stories No One Asked for the podcast. Hopefully I'll have something more prepared in the weeks to come. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's episode. So I am the Artist Version 1, and remember, be breezy.